Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, me.
I'm here with my very old friend Richard Jackson, who I've known for 30 years. Can you believe that we were together at primary school in 1990?
I can share some stories available for comment.
Yes, if you can't hear me very well, that's because we're actually using a microphone today. We've improved production quality on Lloyd Vehicle Consulting because here we are with Richard's 2019 MG ZSCV exclusive. This is a car which is very familiar to the channel. In fact, the most viewed and the second most viewed videos on the channel are the initial walk around at the press launch last July, which was a Pimlico blue car, and this one we are actually in the location where we filmed some of the review here after we got thrown out of Hatfield House car park, which we don't talk about very much, but they actually threw us out, which was funny. The weather is a little bit better than it was when we filmed the review, but the review was probably filmed in the worst conditions I think I've ever seen.
It was miserable.
It was pretty bad, but would you believe we've done sort of 12,000 miles in a year? Or Richard has, I haven't. So if you just want to walk down the side of the car, Richard.
Sure.
We're on the microphones. I'm trying to keep a safe distance away from Richard, but not yank the cable out. So you can see here we've still got the lovely alloy wheels, which were an exclusive to this trim level on the electric.
Yep.
Obviously you've got the EV badge there, and
hopefully a clean boot. I'm fairly sure
yeah.
It's not too bad.
A lot of people think that this car was supplied by MG for the review. It was not. Richard, you were the first customer to actually take delivery of one of these in the country, weren't you?
That's right. Yes, 1 year ago. 1 year ago tomorrow, in fact, we took delivery. And yeah, 11,900 happy miles later, here we are.
Yes, can you just show the viewers like one thing that's actually gone wrong with the car? I think it's the only
thing in those nearly 12,000 miles. The only thing that's gone wrong is one of these fell out. So the little clip that holds the boot parcel shelf up. So a little dab of super glue, stuck it back on, no problem. That's literally the only thing that's gone wrong.
But it's obviously not the MG approved way of fixing it, is it?
No, please contact your dealer, I would suggest, for the official process, but that's done for us.
Yeah, so we've got quite a big boot in there, haven't we? Is it about I think it's 448 in this.
Absolutely.
448.
I've used this for work, and I have a very big 7-metre tripod for taking big, tall photographs, and seats down, it goes straight in, no problem at all. So yeah, it's great space.
So why don't we just go down the other side of the car and just show the viewers actually that if you go around the front, obviously you've got the roof rails and these little things here. You've got keyless entry on this car, which wasn't available on the pre-facelift ones. We'll go and look at the interior in a moment, but we can see at the front of the car, we can just confirm it is an electric car because it's got this on the front. There we go. And there, down there is a charging port.
Yep, and there I have very badly planned the CCS cover.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So what kind of range do you get out of this car typically?
Well, it varies very much on how you drive it, and obviously on the temperature and loads of factors. But I have been able to get around about 120 miles on the motorway, driving at motorway speeds in sort of ambient temperatures in the cold. And that does increase to about 140, 150 again at average motorway speeds in the summer. So there is a bit of growth in the warmer weather. Yeah, if my wife uses this for commuting between Hatfield and Welham Garden City most days when I'm not using it, or we're not taking it on longer journeys. So that's a journey of 7 or so miles. It's not very far, and you know, driving that urban route, we don't plug it in for about 4 or 5 days. We just keep going, keep going and keep going.
Because
great.
This isn't your first electric car, is it?
Nope, it's our second. So I drive a BMW i3 less and less. I have to be honest, we've been driving this more and more. So yeah, for about 5 years is our 5th year of driving an EV.
Yeah.
But this one's such a joy. It's really good.
So the official figures, I think, is about 143 miles on the WLTP.
Yes, 163.
163. Sorry, I get confused because the power output is 143.
That's right.
So it's 163, which was just enough for you when you were looking at buying it, wasn't it? It was just enough.
Yeah, so I was born in Edinburgh and moved to England a long time ago, hence the accent isn't
Yes,
always there.
lack of accent.
Lack of accent. But I've always said if there's an EV that can get me to Edinburgh with not adding too much to the journey, then that for me will be the go. And we've taken this to Edinburgh in the last year. We took it up to Scotland and back. Had a wonderful time. It was only 2 charge stops.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Not bad at all. So
yeah.
It added about 2.5 hours, but most of that was us. At lunch, the lunch stop, the car was ready before we were.
Because if you put this on a fast charger like an Instavolt, it's about 45 minutes from cold, isn't it? From dead, isn't it?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are sweet spots, and as you become more au fait with driving electric cars, you know roughly the best state of charge level to arrive at to get the best speed. You always hear, oh, this can charge it up to 80 kilowatt hours, but that's really if you've got enough space and the battery's at the right optimum temperature and you've arrived at that level, which is all very confusing to new
it's
drivers.
very confusing because you've got 3 charging speeds, haven't you?
Effectively.
Yeah.
But yes, in short, it's half hour to 45 minutes, and you've got a decent amount of charge. And for me, that's more than enough. We've got a 3-year-old. Who sits in the back quite comfortably, and we need to stop. She needs a break. We need a break. Effectively, think of it like driving for 2 hours, stop for 40 minutes, drive for 2 hours, stop for 40 minutes. That's ultimately how it works. Which, for our style of driving and our needs, is fine. It's perfect.
And you don't drive in sport mode most of the time, do you?
I've used it once.
Yeah.
Only when I was trying to show off legally against a Porsche something or other.
Yeah.
Which is fun, but you don't need sport mode to do that. You can do it in normal mode as well.
So you've got sport normal as an eco mode as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's eco mode as well, and I have used eco mode. I call it eke mode. It's when I'm wanting to eke out a few more miles.
Yeah.
It softens the acceleration, reduces the HVAC, the air conditioning, and so on a little bit. And you can notice the difference when you pull away. It's restricted in terms of its pulling away, but ultimately, if you still need to floor it, you just pop the foot down and off it goes.
So if you charge from your wall box, which you've got, how long does that take? If say you've got like 5% left in the car.
All crumbs. So if it's very empty, close to 5% or so, then you're going to need about 6-7 hours at home to charge it. So bomb around all day, get home, plug in the morning, it's charged, and that is for 98% of all the driving we do with it.
Yeah.
You come to the car in the morning, it's fully charged, great.
And with a granny lead, how long is that going to take you? About a day?
A bit longer, yeah. I would say about a day. We went on holiday to Cornwall in between lockdown in the summer, and we plugged in at our holiday cottage. When we got there, it was quite empty. We were on about 6 or 7%, and it took a day to charge. But again, we had enough. After the overnight charge, we had enough to then do our business for the first day, and then by day 2 it was full, and then we just kept topping it up from there. So
excellent. Well, let's get out of this wind. I do apologise for the wind, viewers. That's why Richard's got the microphone on. If you can't hear me very well, that's not so important, but the important thing is you hear from him, and hopefully it's not been too bad.
And we'll have the radio in a sec, so 2 seconds. There you go.
You just avoided the bongs, viewers. The bongs, which we had an old outtake on when we were doing the Tweed Jacket Reviews. I am actually outside the car, just so you know. You should be able to hear Richard quite well. If you can hear me, then that's even better. You can see here, as ZSCV is very, very well equipped. Obviously, it's not quite the same as the post-facelift petrol ZS's yet. The screen's a little bit smaller. There are a number of changes in this kind of area down here, some of which are better, some of which aren't. But one of the main things, actually, that when I drove one of these at the press launch and I saw was actually that you get Android Auto, which MG just had never had on their cars before. And down here we've got the USB ports. This whole centre console is completely different from a petrol one. The pre-facelift ones didn't come with a centre armrest at all, did they?
That's right. I remember before the EV was available to sort of sit in, before it was a physical thing, we test drove the petrol one, and we were a little nervous about the fact there was no centre armrest, and it was a nice cabin, but there was something missing. And as soon as I got to the London motor show, which is where I was able to place my order, I got to sit in it, and I was just blown away. The panoramic roof, the seating position, the cockpit feel was just streets ahead. And compared to the petrol one we'd been in, it felt like a different car. So yeah, that's why we knew it was great for us. And 11,950 miles later. I won't be able to get that. It's probably too close to for that. We are still very comfortable. We've done some very long journeys in this car, and you don't feel tired. You drive your 2 hours, you stop, and you refresh. Yeah.
Obviously, with the if you want detail on this car, you can watch the full review, which I'll link in the description below. If you want to see a full walk around actually at the press launch, which is the most popular video on my channel, then you can see that as well. Which is because the cars are different colours, it's easy to tell which one's which. And then we've got the biggest thing which separates the press cars from the customer car, which is the blue little buttons on the ends of those two stalks there. That's the cruise control stalk for doing MG Pilot. Yeah. And the top one is
for lane keep assist.
Lane keep assist, which I actually use in my own car, and I quite like it. Not all the time, but I quite like it for the motorway.
Yeah, same. We have everything disabled for general driving because it's not designed for everyday little roads. But as soon as you hit the motorway or an A road, just double tug the MG Pilot and off you go, and it's brilliant. I absolutely love it.
So your running costs have been really low because you've not even been in the first service, because it's not quite been a year.
Yes.
So you've not even been for the first service yet, have you?
Not yet. So as I say, car's 1 year old tomorrow for us, and service is booked for the week after next from the original dealership. So the first service, it's just an interim, I think. I think the first 2 services are interims, and then the third year one is a bigger one. But there's not an awful lot to service, so I'll be very interested to see in a couple of weeks what that comes out like. This car hasn't had any software updates. This is the original software, original everything. There are some available updates for the BMS, the sort of software that controls the car in terms of how it charges on certain timed chargers, but we haven't needed any of that, so we've just kept it on the original. The only reason it's been back to the dealership was there was a door wiring loom update, which they've done.
That wasn't faulty.
It wasn't faulty.
It's just like a standard thing to do.
It's a standard thing for them to do, which they did. And again, I just dropped the car off and got it back a couple of hours later, no charge, so that was all fine.
But there's something very exciting coming up in your service, isn't there?
There is. So at the same time as the service, we're going to have the Comfort 2 upgrade, as I believe it's called, which is, again, it's a software upgrade to the car, which will remove the bongs. You'll be pleased to hear, Joseph.
Yeah, we know all about those bongs. That probably stopped us filming about 3 or 4 minutes whilst we sorted out what was doing. That was such a pain because we'd been delayed actually starting for filming,
and the rain
and the wind and everything, and that was awful.
It was. It doesn't just remove the bongs, it does a few things. So it will also add a temperature indicator onto the infotainment system.
You don't have one.
There isn't one at the minute. So again, it's not been too much of an issue for us because we haven't really needed it. As we go into winter, the ability to see if you dip below freezing will be useful from a safety perspective. The temperature indicator is on the car. There is a sensor in the car because it uses it for the battery management to keep the battery at the right temperature, but they just didn't serve the information onto the screen. So the update will do that. It will also, I believe, put the range down here on the display. So the remaining range, at the moment you just have to pull the battery toggle to show you how long you've got left, but they're updating that to appear down there. And obviously the bongs will go, and I think it also removes, there's a triple horn beep, so So if you get back late one night and you shut the doors and leave your keys in, it goes with the horn, which is a little annoying. So that's also going, I
Pretty
believe.
antisocial, isn't it, that?
A little antisocial. It's not a proper horn burst, it's just a short parp. However, it was really handy when I pulled up to a rapid charger and there was a Zoe plugged in and the driver had fallen asleep. So I just accidentally shut the door with the keys in. Car went beep, 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 woke him up. He unplugged and I plugged in. It was great.
That's pretty good. The only ergonomic shortcoming I have in this car, because the access to getting it out is amazing in this one, is the fact that there's no telescopic adjustment for the steering wheel.
No.
But the thing is, having driven a couple of these, and obviously you having had this for a year, I've not found it to be a problem. But it could be, if you're a different sort of size, it could be an issue.
Yeah.
But it's just something that you have to check on an individual basis, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I'm quite tall. I'm 6'2", and my wife's quite tall, and she drives this primarily, and she's just under 6 foot. So we're both quite tall, and yet we've got plenty of space, and it's an electrical seat on the driver's seat, so you can get some good adjustments there. And yeah, I don't feel like I'm stuck in the sky roof or anything. It's really, really comfy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's take a look in the back now. Let's pause the video whilst we do that. One of the things I've always said about the ZS, or rather, the the ZS that's available now, as opposed to the old 45 alternative, is the amount of room in the back. So Richard's 6'2", and the driving position is sort of there, and he's still got plenty of room. And actually getting in and out, I found this car to be one of the easiest to get in and out, because the roofline's quite high, and I think it is comfortable for the longer journeys and everything. There are only two things I would say about the back, and we're not show this. Actually, I can show this a bit. There's no central rear headrest, which is a bizarre omission in 2019-2020, and also there's no rear armrest at all. Now you can't get one even on the facelifted car, which I think is really strange. There's one thing Richard has done to the bit here, which is he's put some adapters to put more devices in there, because there's only one port there, which of course on the petrol ones until the facelift you didn't get anything. But yeah, it was funny, because there was a while when you had this car that you were the only people in the country, apart from the MG press fleet, to actually have one, weren't you?
Just for a very short while. I know I'm a member of the EV Owners Club, the MG.
Oh, you can see that, sir.
Yes, happily showing off my T-shirt. It's a great forum, and if you are thinking about owning one or do own one, it's a fairly friendly group. There's a few thousand members there now over on Facebook, and there's a website. I would recommend to go have a look at it, because it does. No question's a stupid question. Okay, there are some stupid questions. Don't just read the manual. But no, it's great fun, and we've been able to sort of share tips and so on and so forth. And hey, we've added a USB splitter, but that's only because, as anyone who travels with children will know, there's usually an iPad or a tablet that needs charging, and you want to plug in two things at the same time. The one thing. Getting our daughter in and out has been really easy. As you say, elevated position, it's lovely. She loves the roof. It's just lovely to be in here, whether it's sunny or whether it's raining, because she just watches the rain sort of washing off over the roof. It is lovely.
If you watch a review, you'll see plenty of rain on the roof. Awful lot of it.
A lot of rain.
But we have got something in here as well, which overcomes one of the shortcomings of these cars. Again, I don't even think the facelifted ones come with the rear light. And also you can see in here, I'm not exactly sure where you put it. You have to put it behind here on the sunroof, but we've actually got a solar powered light in here, which is quite handy, because there's only one in the front, which for a car that the list price of the car was about £31,000, obviously with the special offer that you had, which was £6,500 off, including the government grant. And you can buy one of these actually right now for about the same price. It brings down to about 24, but you do have to bear in mind, this is something that I remember from the early days, that it depends as to what dealer, as to what cables you get.
Yes.
It's really weird.
Yes, that was true. So we, so obviously the light we've added. We did buy a Type 2 cable to go with it. The car came with the granny lead, the 3-pin plug. We bought a Type 2 extra, but again, I wasn't overly bothered by that. Was very happy with the value in the rest of the car, and even no light in the back. Okay, it was a bit of a pain to begin with, but we just got this little solar one off Amazon, I think, and it certainly isn't a reason for us to not like the car. It's, you know, it's very small fry, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to go to the launch with Planet Auto. That was brilliant, and I actually was able to answer when I was there some of the questions that you had, because you didn't have enough information ready to put a deposit down, but you did it anyway.
Yes.
You wanted to get it as soon as possible. And
Leap
you
of
did.
faith.
And actually, we were able to answer the questions there. And then, of course, I went in one of these when Planet Auto had theirs for a week, and then, of course, I drove this one for Tweed Jacket Reviews, and you know, everybody seems to love this car. I just, you know, you think about an E-Nero, Kona EV, all this stuff, and even stuff like the Corsa E, which I actually have tested myself on my channel, and they're either way too expensive or they're just not quite there. The Corsa E is a perfectly decent car, but the one I drove was £31,000, which was just an insane amount of money for a lot less space, I think.
Yeah, we'd looked at the Kia e-Niro. I mean, ultimately, we wanted a bigger car for when Rosie came along, and you know, we went to the dealership. We ordered a test drive, and we heard nothing for a really, really long time. And in the time it took Kia to actually get back to me to say, "Oh, there's a car available for you to test drive now," MG had launched the ZS EV. Had the press show. I'd been able to sit in one, been able to put my deposit down. I'd waited, and delivery had happened. So all that MG had managed to do in the time it took for Kia just to even get me in one to have a test. And this had almost exactly the same spec in terms of toys and auto MG Pilot and space, boot space, etc. Okay, the range wasn't as good.
Exactly. That's what we must say is the range.
The range is different.
Particularly on the I think there's a facelifted e-Niro out now.
Yes.
And particularly they've sort of done some tweaks, and that one, in some ways, it is better. But then again, you're paying probably at least £7,000 to £10,000 more.
Yes, the difference, we looked at it, the difference between the e-Niro and the MG, it was going to be about 10 grand for the spec that we wanted to be comparable, and I didn't justify 100 extra miles of range for 10 grand.
No.
So it was an absolute no-brainer. But to be honest, we were already sold on the MG anyway. So.
And you've got 6 years left on your warranty, haven't you, as well?
We have, yeah. I have no issues. I had an SAIC MG before. I had an MG6 for a few years, and again, that was really reliable. I drove about 60,000 miles in a few years on that. Loved it. So I had no issues buying an MG, a modern MG. I know that the dealers the dealer network is much bigger now than when I had my MG6, and and there's a great group. There's loads of resource and information out there on the internet that's just grown and grown. So it feels. It's a great ownership experience, I have to say. We both, my wife and I, both love owning and driving it.
So yeah, that's great. Well, we're gonna have to sort of finish there, because this video's run on for quite a long time, which is great. People out there, if they've been watching the sort of the older videos we've done on this car, they'll want to know all this stuff. But to all the viewers, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. I'm sure we'll catch up with Richard again at some point. Just move it there. You can see the interior kind of there and the screen. When the facelifted car comes out, which I don't know when that'll be, who knows. Maybe we'll go and have a look at that. But thank you once again to Richard, who his car is still the most popular one on my channel, so I'm not complaining about it at all. So yes, don't forget to visit my Facebook page, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, and also instagram.com/Lloyd_Vehicle_Consulting. Thank you once again, sir.
Bye bye.